161, it should be mine.
Ambassador, do you want to start? Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Sai Ram. Continuing in chapter 6, as Sri Dattatreya. On the Shivaratri day in 1978, Sai Baba was traveling by car from Ooty to Bangalore. Several devotees and students were accompanying him in cars. Srimati Ratnalal Bhatia, who cooked Baba's meal every day in Bangalore, was also among them. Sri Satya Sai stopped the caravan at some place and got down from his car. All of them sat down to rest and relax, and Baba began to speak to the gathering about some spiritual matters. He addressed a student who he knew was still harboring doubts and misgivings about Baba. You are still troubled by doubts about me, is it not? You are holding a Polaroid camera. Take my photograph, and you will see my true identity. Baba stood at a particular spot. The student took his position with the camera and was about to take a snap. Suddenly, Srimati Bhatia rushed forward and tried to straighten the creases on Baba's garment. Swami sternly ordered her to go away. As he spoke somewhat curtly and loudly, the poor lady was frightened, turned back and stood at a distance. The student clicked in his camera. In a few moments, the Polaroid picture developed in sharp colors. It was of the divine composite form of Lord Dattatreya, with three heads, Lord Brahma, Lord Mahavishnu, and Lord Maheshwara. The photo also showed 4 dogs and a cow standing by the side of the Lord. When the picture was shown to Swami, he told Srimati Bhatia, "Do you now realize why I firmly ordered you to go away at the moment this photograph was being taken? Extremely powerful radiations were emanating from me at that time. You would not have been able to withstand their impact. Satya Sai is the supreme being, the primordial source of the cycles of creation, Srishti, maintenance, Sthithi, and ultimate annihilation, Layam. This truth has been demonstrated by Satya Sai through this incident when he revealed himself to be the transcendental divinity combining within himself Lord Brahma, Mahavishnu, and Lord Maheshwara, the Great Trinity. My human form encompasses divine Shakthis of all gods. Sri Satya Sai Baba once declared, as I am moving among you, eating like you, conversing with you, you may mistake me as a common human being. If you commit that error, you will get into trouble and get enmeshed in that error. Get enmeshed in delusion. You must always be vigilant and avoid that danger. The web of Maya delusion is my concomitant. So I may sing along with you, speak with you, participate together with you in all activities, and thereby create in you that Maya. But at any moment, I may suddenly reveal my divinity. You must keep yourself alert, ever and always, and be ready for that great moment. This, my human form, encompasses every faith, dharma, and every divine potency, Shakti, of every god. Whatsoever be the names, forms, and powers that man attributes to God, belong only to Satya Sai and none else. And all prayers and offerings to God reach me only. I can demonstrate it beyond doubt. That is why, in all my discourses, I emphasize that Allah, Jesus, Jehovah, Rama, Krishna, Ishvara, and Sai are all names which pertain without any difference whatsoever only to me. When God comes down to earth in human form, it is very difficult to see the reality of God in the outward form. Man compares the earthly external appearances of the avatar with his own body and mistakenly concludes that the two are of the same level and type. To tell you the truth, even if the entire humanity makes concerted effort for 1,000 years through the severest austerities, it cannot comprehend my true essentiality, Nija Tattva. If you win the grace of His divine power standing right before you, bearing a holy name and form, you will soon achieve supreme realization. You are exceptionally fortunate in having this rare opportunity. It is far more precious than what eminent sages, renunciates, yogis, and holy men had ever got. Forgot not this fact. Swami pervades the universe. Laila and Homer Young were a young couple living in California. Homer used to work in the establishment concerned with launching of satellites. In 1972, Laila joined a group led by Indradevi of Mexico, an ardent devotee of Swami, and came to Puttaparthi to meet Sai Baba. Homer desired that Puttaparthi should be photographed from space right at the time his wife was in Baba's presence. Several photographs were taken by satellite from 200 miles above the earth. Because of the great distance, no clear details of habitations, hills, or buildings could be seen in the photographs, which showed only a number of patches and dots in black and white that made no sense. When Laila saw them on return from Puttaparthi, she felt very much disappointed. Being middle-class people, she felt they should not have wasted $60 on these poor pictures. Several years went by. Some Sai devotees on their way to Tecate to attend the wedding of Indra Devi's daughter visited Homer's home. He was then running a Sai book center. There were several photos of Sai in different poses in the center. As the visitors showed interest and liked some of them, Homer showed them the satellite pictures of Puttaparthi too. The visitors were closely looking at those photographs. Suddenly, a lady cried out, "Here is Sai Baba." Curiosity aroused. Each of them examined the photo minutely. Surprisingly, they could all discern the face in profile of Sri Sathya Sai, composed by the numerous patches and dots, which had earlier made no sense to Homer and Lila. The image was now crystal clear. The crown like thick black hair on the head, the eyes, the shape of the nose, and wonder of wonders, even the birthmark on the cheek of enchanting face of Swami could be clearly seen. Homer made his own calculations. He took into account longitude and latitude and found that the photograph covered a vast area 40 miles long and 20 miles wide. He realized with considerable astonishment that Swami's form filled so much area. From the data available, Homer concluded that Swami was looking at an extensive area surrounding Prashanthi Nilayam. In 1978, Homer came to Puttaparthi to meet Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai. He saw a great circular aura around Swami's head. He took several photographs and showed them to Swami. Bhagavan smiled sweetly and said, as Lord Sri Krishna told Arjuna, "These are trifles in my boundless divine magnificence." Ananta Mahimas. These photographs, taken on 29th November 1972, have been placed for exhibition in the planetarium in Prashanthi Nilayam. Sairam.
Sairam, Uncle, you are muted. Uncle, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Nethi Nethi. There is a Sanskrit saying, Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manamasaha anandam brahmano vidvan na bibeti kritascha neti. Still muted? I unmuted. Yes.
We can hear you, Uncle.
Yeah. The universal absolute is beyond the comprehension of the five senses as well as mind. Only an ardent devotee can realize the incomprehensible, universal, supreme reality and achieve transcendental bliss. He is then above and beyond every kind of fear and enjoys the state of perpetual bliss. This highly spiritual concept was clarified by Bhagwan Baba with a simple and amusing anecdote drawn from Ramayana. Sita, Rama, and Lakshmana reached the ashram of Rishi Bharadwaja. According to the prevalent practice, the rishis sat in one group and their wives and other women sat in another group. They did not sit in a mixed gathering as we do these days. On reaching there, Sita took a seat among the women and Rama and Lakshmana sat with the rishis. The two brothers, Rama and Lakshmana, were wearing clothes of renunciates, sannyasis. Due to that, and also because of their radiance, both the princes were looking as splendid as the rishis themselves. It was impossible to recognize and identify who was Rama and who was Lakshmana. But Sita had not changed much, and wives of rishis could immediately recognize her. They drew close to her and affectionately engaged her in conversation in easy informality. Women by nature tend to be inquisitive and talkative. On the other side, rishis were busy with their metaphysical discourses. Here, women were busy with their whispered conversation. They asked Sita, "Dear Sita Devi, has your husband also come?" She replied, "Yes, I have come along with him. He is sitting there with the rishis." The woman then asked, "Of those two sitting there, who is your husband?" Would Sita stand up in the entire gathering and point out her husband? She was very modest and noble and also a dedicated wife, Pativrata. Unable to give an outright reply, she silently sat with her head bowed. But the ladies would not leave it there. They went on asking queries like, is he that person sitting a little behind or a little ahead? Or is he the person wearing beautiful robes? Is he that fair complexioned man? They went on showing this person or that with one description or another. But Sita was very patient. Whenever a person other than her husband was pointed at, she shook her head to indicate no, no. She went on shaking her head in denial until when Rama's turn came, she became silent and modestly bowed her head. Her gesture itself signified a confirmation that the person pointed at was indeed Lord Sri Rama. In the same manner, the Vedas went on repeating, Nethi, 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 not this, not this, not this, while trying to describe the inner essentiality of the universal absolute, Parabrahma Tattva. When the Vedas were to finally describe that universal absolute, they became mute or wordless. That is why it was referred to as Mauna Vyakta, Prakatita Parabrahma Tattva, the essentiality of the universal absolute, which can be described only by wordlessness, perfect silence. What a charming anecdote Bhagwan has chosen, and how beautiful was the exposition. In simple words and by a sweet and enchanting anecdote, Baba unraveled the meaning of the Vedic words Nethi, Nethi. He also explained their spiritual significance. Ordinarily, these words are superficially and literally explained as not this, not this. But there is another and more subtle way of interpreting them. The Supreme Being is universally pervasive. It is boundless in magnitude and infinite are the variations it displays. It is immutable and it is indestructible. So when the nature of that Parabrahma is considered, and in that context, Nethi is used, we should understand the word as not only this, not merely this, but there's a lot more to it. If in this manner we look for the deeper meaning of the word Nethi, its scope becomes vast and profound. The entire universe comprising moving chara and non-moving achara entities is suffused with that universal being Parabrahma. It is omnipresent, that is, there is no place or point or time in the universe where that universal being does not exist. Therefore, when we try to identify the supreme reality by looking at a particular object, this and that, and question ourselves, is it this? Is it this? And so on. The response, not this, does not satisfy us adequately. On the other hand, the answer, not merely this, fits more perfectly the universal reality we try to describe. When we try to understand the compassion, magnificence, and distinctiveness of Satyasai Parabrahma, we question ourselves, is it this? We soon realize this is not all, there's much more to it. So that indeed is the correct answer, the satisfying answer for the Vedic dictum Nethi, Nethi. Therefore, the correct and fully satisfying answer is not merely this, there is much more to it. The subtle explanation given by Bhagwan Sri Satyasai will bestow enlightenment on even the enlightened. Our homage to the greatest repository of Gyan. Om Sri Satyasai Parabrahma Nama. The all-powerful creator, preserver, and destroyer. I am the Atma that dwells in all living beings. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all things. All that you see in the cosmos, the moving and the statutory objects, is a manifestation of the Atma. Creation history. To alter a living being into a non-living entity and vice versa is one of the sportive gestures, leelas of God, as demonstrated several times by Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba.
You can mute yourself, Uncle, and then Auntie Sangeeta will begin.
Sairam. And becomes beads. On the holy occasions of Fridays in the month of Shravan, married Hindu women customarily perform Gauri Puja, worship of goddess Parvati. A Hindu couple wished to avail of one such occasion to worship also the lotus feet Pada Puja of Swami. They requested Swami for permission, which was readily granted. They then gathered all the materials needed, but they could not get hold of black beads, which are essential for the puja. At the appointed hour, Swami arrived and took his seat. In their excitement, the couple totally overlooked the absence of the all-important beads and commenced the ceremony. Suddenly, a big black ant crawled out of a flower offered at Swami's feet. Swami smiled indulgently and commented, "What, are you worshipping me with black ants?" And he picked up the crawling insect and placed it in the lady's hand. To their wonderment, the ant suddenly changed into 2 black beads. So the only thing wanting for due performance of the worship reached their hand after all. The grateful devotees were astonished at Swami's ability to create by his mere will. The lady was immensely pleased that Baba enabled her to complete the ceremony satisfactorily in accordance with the prescribed procedure. In this instance, Baba altered a living object into a non-living object without taking away life. But there's another beautiful episode where he changed lifeless objects into a living being. Parrot from betel leaves. Swami was at the time touring Andhra Pradesh. He stayed in a devotee's house. After meals, a silver plate containing tender betel leaves or a cup nut powder, lime, and other ingredients were placed before him. He leisurely removed the ribs from the leaves as he prepared the latter for eating, and he carefully arranged the ribs in the plate in the shape of a parrot. He was all the while talking with devotees gathered around him, and he suddenly asked them a question. "What do you think God is busy with?" They answered, "Srishti is what the God is busy with." Swami promptly touched the parrot's form on the plate in front of him. It suddenly came to life and flew out vigorously, beating its wings. The devotees were astonished at the wonderful sight. Joining in the general merriment, Swami too laughed enchantingly. Diamond ear tops in cookie. Indulal Shah once invited Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba to dinner in his house in Bombay, now known as Mumbai. Swami was seated on one side of the dining table. Opposite him sat Shah and his daughter. Mrs. Shah brought a plate of freshly cooked hot vadas, savory cookies made with soaked black gram paste deep fried in oil, and placed it before Swami. He picked up one of them and placed it on the plate of Shah's daughter and told her to break it into 2 before eating. When she did so, she found a diamond-studded ear top in each piece. All of them were thrilled. Swami himself put them one each on the girl's ears. It was Kodaikanal in the 4th week of April in 1997. Several devotees were dining with Swami. Swami finished his meal and was going around the devotees, talking to them in the dining hall. He went near a devotee and said, "Break the puris before you eat." The person did as suggested by Swami and found, to his surprise, a golden ring. Swami said, "That's for you, have it." Everyone was pleasantly surprised. Anil Kumar was also there eating puris. Swami asked him to eat fast. "Swami, who knows what have you put in which puri?" said Anil Kumar. He further added, "So I'm checking every puri and I'm eating carefully." Everyone had a hearty laugh at Anil Kumar's words. In every such event, the issue is not what has been created out of what, it is Swami's will that matters. That alone is the central factor, the cause as well as the effect. Swami once declared, "What I will happens, while what I order materializes." Maintenance, Sthithi. On one occasion in Trai, Swami's residence at Vrindavan, Swami invited Brigadier S.K. Bose to address the assembled students and staff. The brigadier spoke mostly about the lessons he had learned at the feet of Swami, concluded his talk, and approached Swami to touch his feet. Swami did not allow him to do so, but asked him, "Why did you make no mention of what happened on that Dashera day?" Brigadier Bose replied, "Swami, what should I say about it? I'm merely an instrument in your sublime hands. I do not have any individuality of my own. I can never forget that you restored me to life that day. I'm ever grateful to you, Swami. I cannot describe my indebtedness adequately in words." After that, Swami granted him the privilege of touching his feet. As Brigadier Bose slowly moved to his seat, Swami told members of the staff, "That day, Bose was indeed dead. I brought him back to life. He has still plenty to do for me." 2 months earlier, Swami had entrusted to Bose the work of laying a 12-feet concrete strip around the mandir. He also directed that it should be completed before the beginning of the Dashera festivities. The job took 25 days at the rate of 12 hours of daily labor. Many a devotee participated in the labor of love and devotion. After finishing the job on time, Bose attended every evening discourse that Swami delivers customarily during the Dashera celebration spread over 10 days. On the final day, Vijayadashmi, Thursday, 20th October 1988, he was suffering from high temperature. Nevertheless, he made his labored way to the Purnachandra auditorium and sat in a chair close to the dais. Swami commenced his discourse. Meanwhile, Bose began feeling loss of breath. Suddenly, he collapsed in his chair. But strangely, even though his eyes were closed, he was aware of what was happening around him. He saw a huge golden-colored bird standing there and looking at Bose with eyes full of pity. Bose could not imagine how a bird so big could make its way into the auditorium. But he saw that Swami raised both his hands and waved them as if he was driving the bird away. And it just disappeared. In the course of his discourse, Swami was reciting a verse. He abruptly stopped midway through the verse and quickly came down from the dais. He seemed to be holding something in his closed right fist. As he lifted up Bose by the shoulder with the left hand, Swami patted the back of Bose's head with the right hand. Probably he was holding Bose's life in the right fist, and while patting on the backside of his head, inducted life back into his body. Bose opened his eyes. He was surprised to see Swami standing close at hand just by his side, that too on the holy Vijayadashmi. Wanting to touch Swami's feet, he extended his hand. Swami told him to get up and stand, but Bose continued to sit, offering salutations to him. Swami patted on his back to give him strength. He told him, "Stand up, come on to the dais and take your feet near the door." Bose obeyed. Then Swami resumed his interrupted discourse and went on speaking for a full hour. The lifeless face of Bose steadily and gradually acquired the glow of life within that hour. About 2 months later, the sports day was being celebrated in the Hillview Stadium. At the outset, Swami hoisted the game's flag. Bose was present there, and that was thrilled to see on that flag the image of the celestial bird Garuda, the vehicle of Lord Sri Mahavishnu. Bose remembered that it was the same bird that had sat over him on the Vijayadashmi day, with its eyes full of pity for him. Bose came to know much later that according to the Garuda Puran, it is Garuda that carries saintly souls to heaven, Brahmaloka. Brigadier Bose was referring to this episode when he humbly pleaded with Swami that Bhagavan had restored him to life and that it was beyond him to find words to describe his gratitude to him.
Sairam, Auntie, if you want to close with 3 Samastalokas and Shanti.
Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.